Only Olorundare. I'm going to be the anchor for the session, so to say. Before we start, I want to recognize the presence of our panelists. And with me here today, we have two of them. And online, I believe we have the other two panelists. And without missing word, I want us to welcome them. And I'll give them 1 minute each to introduce themselves. So please, I'll start from my closest left. Mrs. Mata Omokpe-Alade, please, can you say something?
So hello, good day everyone. So my name is Martha Alade. I'm the Executive Director and Founder of Women in Technology in Nigeria, WITIN, an NGO and association that is committed to gender equality, diversity, and inclusion. And our goal is to increase the representation of women and girls in STEM for their socio-economic advancement. So, and we do this through advocacy, like our Women Pride of Africa project. We do digital skills interventions. We do STEM outreaches. We embark on gender transformative education. We work closely with teachers, building them as role models in STEM for women, amongst other activities that we carry out. So I'll just stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mata Omokpe-Alade. Please, thank you. I appreciate that. As a matter of fact, I'm happy that I don't have to say something before we give her a round of applause. Please, can we do that again? Thank you very much. We're happy to have you, ma. All right, to my extreme left is Mr. Destiny Amana. So please, sir, we want to meet you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Destiny Amana. I'm currently the president of the Nigeria Internet Group, a group created in 1995, around the time that Abacha wanted to block and break the internet in Nigeria. Didn't want us to go online. It was an advocacy group created originally in NCC. Our former presidents were the EVCs of NCC until it broke out to the private sector. We promote the internet in Nigeria, the education of how to use the internet, what we can use the internet for, how we can move forward as a people using the internet. That's what the Nigerian Internet Group is for. We have a lot of different sessions that we hold. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Destiny Amana. All right, so let's go online. I want to believe Mr. Ebuka Ogbodo is online. So can we meet you, sir, Mr. Ebuka Ogbodo?
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. My name is Ebuka Ogbodo. I now work at Meta, where I manage public policy across Anglophone West Africa. I'm a lawyer by background, and I previously worked at Templars and as a global policy fellow. And I'm looking forward to the deliberations today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ebuka Ogbodo. And the last person, but not the least, please, let's take note of that, is no other person than Mr. Chukwuemeka Gerald Ibewuchi. I believe you are online. Can we meet you, sir? Mr. Chukwuemeka Gerald Ibewuchi. Okay, all right. I believe that Mr. Chukwuemeka Gerald will join us in the course of this program. So I want us to continue. And please, Rapporteur, once it comes online, kindly let me know. And that is very important because it's supposed to be part of this discussion this afternoon. All right, so without wasting time, we're going to start. And what we are going to be discussing here this afternoon is Nigerian position in the future of the internet. Now we know that Nigeria is very active in the global, digital transformation. We've been doing a lot of things, and the issue of internet governance has come to the fore. And as you can see, one mainstay of our coming together this afternoon is nothing but to discuss issues that border on internet governance. And without wasting time, we know that this is a very serious issue that we need to discuss. And I'm sure that we are all aware of the theme, the main theme of this year's NiGF event, which is advancing digital transformation and trust in Nigeria. And our own team, the one we'll be discussing, is a sub-team to, the main theme. And that is Nigerian position in the future of the internet, which I earlier said. That is what we'll be discussing. And we can see that today we have rapid development of, digital technologies in, business processes, in the quality of our life, and even in, governance. In our communities, we have seen that digital transformation is actually taking place. There is no gainsaying that, emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, the metaverse, and even the fourth industrial revolution have come to stay. And these are issues that we'll be looking at this afternoon. And all these, they have improved. There is no doubt about that. And of course, we have started applying them in our lives, talking about our health, talking about, economy, talking about agriculture, and so on and so forth. However, there are issues around policies that we'll be discussing this afternoon, and that is why we have our, knowledgeable panelists that are going to be discussing this issue. So please, let's welcome all the panelists once again by giving them a round of applause, please, while we start the discussion. All right. I'm not going to waste time in, spelling out the rules. And I believe that our panelists, they are well skilled and they know, their onion. And it is expected that we respect one another's opinion in this discourse. And at the same time, we try as much as possible to limit ourselves to the time given to us, because I have another moderator on top of me. I have been given the time, and we have to stick to the time, please. So the first question I'll be asking is going to be directed to Madam Martha Alade, and that has to do with the relationship between emerging technologies and digital transformation. We want to know from our own perspective, based on what she's been doing and maybe our organization, what does this mean to her? Madam Martha, over to you. Thank you.
So, thank you very much for that. So, emerging technologies actually impacts all groups, whether it's the rural woman or the newborn baby or the student. It impacts everyone one way or the other. And our moderator here has mentioned some of them, from artificial intelligence, like using machine learning technologies, robotics, cloud computing, 5G, datafication, extended reality, digital trust. We have 3D printing, genomics, new energy solutions. They are everywhere, and it's affecting us, one way or the other. And the interesting thing is, no matter how little it is, there's this, transformative and transformative impact in our lives. Say, for example, now, the 5G that has just, that is being promoted, and a lot of people are finding it difficult to accept and, take it as one of the newest things that would happen to mankind. We live we spend a lot of our lives on mobile phones, on using. Some people spend up to 12 hours a day living online, and looking at 5G, for example, it can make the difference between, success and failure. So imagine you, for example, taking an online course or attending a webinar, a very important webinar. I'm trying to just break it down because sometimes one of the reasons why we are having confusion is because the terms appear to always be very, very ambiguous to people. And bringing it down will go a long way to make people understand the importance of these things and how they can transform our lives. So imagine you attending a webinar, and in the middle of the webinar, you just see connection lost, or it's still loading. It's loading and loading. Do you know there are some people that, they do not leave their house without spending 1 hour a day for morning prayers, for example? Some people, their entire education rely on bandwidth. So a simple increase in the speed of that connectivity will go a long way to make the life of that person who is using that service better. So we cannot underestimate the power of a technology like 5G, for example. What about data analysis? Today we are saying that data is the new oil. The minister was celebrating recently the contribution of the digital economy to the GDP, I think over 18%. And it's because of emerging technologies. Imagine such huge plus to our GDP because of emerging technology. So it affects us immensely. Look at data. Data is the new oil. Almost every organization now is looking for a way to be able to harness this big data revolution and turn it to insights that can move their businesses from one level to another, that can increase their businesses 360 degrees. So data is very, very powerful, and it is data analytics is an emerging technology that we cannot underestimate. So all these technologies, from data analysis to even cloud computing. What about the cloud? The cloud computing has transformed the way businesses are run today, not just in Nigeria, all over the world. And these are the things that will help us to take a good position in the global transformation arena. And then, what about energy? We can see how the new energy solutions are transforming businesses, even with the power failures we are experiencing, not just in Nigeria, all of the power challenges all over the world, the climate change. We are seeing technologies that are revolutionizing the way energy is being used and consumed more effectively than it was before. So all this put together simply tells us that emerging technologies has greatly and is still greatly transforming our lives. And when we talk about digital transformation, it's just, some people will say, is evolution, adaptation at the speed of evolution. Some will say digital transformation is simply the moving from innovation to implementation to transformation. So you have an innovation. How does it make my life better? What is my user experience? Does it improve my user experience and make me increase my productivity, increase my livelihood, or increase my comfort, the way I live, increase my finances, increase my social experiences? All these things put together, all these emerging technologies put together, sums up to a very powerful transformative index in our lives and, country as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Martha Alade. You have told us so many things, and I will not want to recount everything you have said now because of our time. And of course, I want Mr. Destiny Amana to add his own voice to this same question. So I want you to tell us, the relationship between emerging tech and digital transformation and how they impact our life. I believe you'll be able to tell us even some of the things that, based on your own experience, sir.
Based on my own experience.
Thank you very much.
No problem, sir. Okay, so first of all, I'll have to say, starting on existing protocols, our environment will help, or has helped in our transformation. Prior to COVID, We had Zoom as a technology, we had Skype as a technology, we had all these different ways of communicating with each other as technologies that were existing with the current internet setup. But when you were going for a meeting that was, if you worked in VI and you had a meeting in Ikeja, it was anathema to think of going onto your computer to actually have your meeting. Boom, COVID happened. You couldn't go out of your house. Before COVID, bearing in mind that our conference today is Advancing Digital Transformation and Trust in Nigeria, before COVID, if a member of your staff or if your colleague at work came to you and said, I want to work from home, even now, it generates some sort of laughter inside us because it's a trust issue. Whether or not you get the job done doesn't matter. In my mind, you're going to be lounging, watching TV, enjoying yourself, whilst me, I'm hustling in the office. So how can you be asking me to work from home? Boom! COVID happened. Companies that, it's a lie, they can never work from home. They had to work from home. I can tell you as an employer of labor, many people who work from home were working harder than those who were normally coming to the office. You know why? You didn't even have time for breaks anymore. You go from one meeting to the next meeting. In fact, you can even be in two different meetings at the same time. One on Zoom, one on Teams. Technology was what enabled us as a people. And you know what? If we didn't transform ourselves and adapt to what was available, we would have been in a worse condition. Digital transformation was what was required by us. Digital transformation of the businesses in the private sector and in the public sector. Those people who were able to adapt their businesses. I run a business that builds websites. I cannot tell you how many people were calling me after or during COVID to say they found out that many of their competitors who have websites are still in business. I originally did not think I needed a website because I didn't think that this kind of thing would ever happen to us. Please, we need a website as soon as possible. And we need to be able to transact. We need to be able to send customers to the site to pay us, and then we will deliver to them. Digital transformation, if you were not able to adapt. But even after building the website, there was still a trust issue for customers and the vendors. That is why, even till today, companies like Konga and Jumia allow you to pay on delivery. Outside of Africa, it is taken for granted that you pay before the goods come out. But because of the environment that we live in, there is no trust, zero trust. Our businesses have had to adapt to the environment. As a people and we're a country with a population of over 200 million. We have a huge role to play when it comes to digital transformation and trust, especially in Africa. And I am happy to announce that when our minister renamed our ministry to the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, he probably had foresight that this was going to be the future. This was what we needed to align ourselves with to be able to adapt to the environment when COVID happened. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that insightful comments. Please, you can do better. We can do better. Thank you very much. All right, so
I can't see any digital clapping on the...
So we are going to be extending this discussion to Mr. Ebuka Ogbodo online. So we want him to, share his thoughts with respect to this same issue. And especially, I know he's in the business of metaverse. And probably maybe he'll be telling us where we are now and what we expect in terms of emerging technologies and how they are going to affect our lives, even in the nearest future. Mr. Ebuka, over to you. Thank you very much. Can you hear us loud and clear?
Yes, I can hear you very loud and clear.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so very much again for the kind introduction and understanding the existing protocol. I just want to first of all flag that I think the conversation has been very insightful, especially from my panelists having highlighted the benefits really of emerging technologies and how that aids and accelerates digital transformation. I'm totally aligned on the COVID scenario as well as a practical example and use case of how this has transformed the way we work, the way we relate, and the way we build trust within our society. Related to that as well is, I think from a practical point of view, we cannot discard, or we are all aware of the significant progress that the internet has brought to our lives. That's really why we're here at the Internet Governance Forum this year, essentially, right? And this is, as we all know, used to be something that a while ago was still foreign to a lot of people and quite unusual. And that's really, but now is essentially everywhere, right? Even if your small kid at home is able to use the phone even more better with the expertise, better than the adults in the house, right? In terms of navigating the controls and the systems and everything. And that's really testament to how technology with time transforms everything, both from digital and even offline as well. And that becomes part of everything. And I think this conversation is quite, it's quite timely, given the push to the metaverse that companies such as Meta and other industry leaders are pushing towards. And that is really the idea that what is the next phase after the internet, or what's the next phase of the internet evolution, and how do we bring people closer together? And in that context is now, okay, what does this mean for our society? Right now, we're able to work remotely from home, a lot of instances, but then there are still certain, of course, hurdles that are still affecting the ability of people to maximize the benefit of this hybrid work environment, such as connectivity issues, data affordability, and so many other infrastructural roadblocks. But nevertheless, it is undisputed that with technology, we are able to accelerate our ability to innovate and our ability to actually address problems that could be historical or even emerging. For instance, with the pivots to virtual meetings, which is the reason why, again, I'm here today and able to join you guys virtually while also doing some other pressing conflicts. But then that is, again, the benefit of digital transformation, and it makes it easier for everyone to relate. And then more importantly, as we continue to address issues around job availability, how we relate as global citizens, the fact that this technology now enables us to now work from anywhere at any time also means that restrictions around immigration status, the passport that you hold, would not tie you down. So basically, removing the borders that has been created by the system and allowing people free flow of information, ideas, and resources, which would ultimately, of course, uplift everyone, because as they say, a rising tide lifts everything in its path. So let me pause there. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate your contribution. Please, let's clap for him. All right, because of our time, I want us to, speed up. So I want to go. To question 2, and that is talking about the adoption of, the emerging technologies to reap the benefit of digital transformation. So I know that Madam Alade is into advocacy when it comes to issues that bother women. So please, I want you to share your experience on this. Please, thank you very much.
All right, so you said how we can leverage the adoption of emerging technologies. I think the best way to leverage the adoption of emerging technologies is to showcase the success stories. So we want to see the success stories of these, of the people or of the processes that have successfully adopted these emerging technologies. Let's say, for example, about 4 or 5 years ago, nobody, not many people would be interested in seeing someone dancing on the internet. But today, somebody just dancing on the internet is making millions of naira, right? That's because of that evolution and the shift and the emerging technologies, the platforms that are made available making it easier for people to, bring out their talent one way or the other. So now, one thing about the Nigerian content creation is that it appears to be more of entertainment and more of entertainment, comedy, with what we see women spend time watching. Of course, we have those who spend time doing religious activities. We have also those who are doing, engaging in educational and career-related activities in the internet. But we want to see more content that will spur more usage and adoption of emerging technologies for digital transformation. We have the numbers, we have the potential, and we have the human resource. And so we need to put out more success stories, especially for women to be able to be inspired to key in to the digital transformation and to maximize the usage of emerging technology. So yes, showcasing success story. Let's flood the media. The media should be flooded. We want to see more of interesting things, more of inspirational content that would inspire our youths to do more contents beyond just entertainment, beyond comedy, beyond music. The music has done so much. The music industry has exploded. And one of the reasons why they're able to make that progress is because of emerging technologies. So if it could succeed, it could bring so much, or bring out the talents of people in the area of music, comedy, entertainment, film, acting. I believe that even in STEM, we can also bring out more innovation if we properly showcase the power of emerging technologies towards digital transformation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So I want to extend this question. I'm not going to be asking you, Mr. Mana. I'm not going to be asking you a direct question, but I want you to now take it to the next level. Okay, Madam Mata has told us about the content creation and all of that. So please, beyond the content creation, so what other benefits can we talk about when it comes to emerging technologies?
Okay, so with emerging technologies, depends on, because we have the internet, education is one of the major uptakes from emerging technologies. It has fueled the Japa phenomena, with people leaving Nigeria in droves. They start off with online courses and then find out that there's a way they can actually physically leave Nigeria and get into those other countries. It is emerging technologies. Before the technologies emerged the way they have, people couldn't jackpot like that. Even if they wanted to, which they've always wanted to. But now, companies are suffering because whole departments are jackpotting, and it's mostly technology-based departments. That just tells you straight away that they are leveraging the technology that is available to us now in Nigeria. Now, if you look at the fact that because the internet, I've been doing internet-based business for about 18, 20 years in Nigeria. I remember the days of dial-up compared to today. And although people will complain, oh, my internet is so slow, oh, I can't do much, I'm telling you that we have gone leaps and bounds in internet compared to our colleagues over in Europe or America. Because the way the internet has changed in Nigeria, we have been leapfrogging technology. In fact, 5G has already entered Nigeria. It's incredible because in many parts of Europe, there is no 5G yet, but 5G has entered Nigeria. Because of the way the internet is now being, in Lagos, they are laying fiber everywhere. That means even in homes, I know as with someone with experience with the use of fiber, my home, I won't advertise who I use, but I use every month nothing less than almost 1 terabyte of data, because we don't even watch DSTV anymore. If we watch Netflix, we watch YouTube. My children are doing online games with the TV, and So the internet is the lifeblood in my house at the moment. And so you can imagine, I have had to make my home a smart home as well. So in my office, I have a smart plug for my AC. So from here, I can talk to my AC and tell it to come on, so that by the time I get through the traffic and get back to the office, my room is cool. People, if you look at YouTube, people are selling smart homes, smart houses, where you can open your curtains, you can put on applications. I have some clients who their houses their mansions in the village have solar inverter, and they wanted to have it smart, so that from here, when they want someone to enter the house, they can look at the camera at the front door, open the front door, open certain doors in the house. Not all the doors will be open. From here, they can control that kind of access. Technology has made that possible, right? Now, because the cost of internet browsing is actually a lot less than it used to be, people are taking up smartphones a lot more. A lot more people are also being able to utilize technology to take loans. People are using USSD on their Palasa phones to take a loan from the bank without going into the bank. And when they get the loan, they now use it to buy a smartphone. And with the smartphone, they are now able to take pictures, use WhatsApp, make video calls. I remember as a teenager, early 20s, I actually used to sell mobile phones. And when Nokia came out and said that they will make a phone that you can watch movies on, I don't know if any of you remember the Ericsson flip phones or the Motorola flip phones. The screens were like 1 or 2 lines. I was laughing. I said, these people are stupid. How can you want to watch a movie? But I didn't know technology was going to go in leaps and bounds. When the iPhone came out, all screen, no keyboard. It changed the way everyone looked at how they use their phones. So when video calling came out, I said, very soon wives will be calling their husbands, put on the video, let me see where you are. And true, it's happening. Technology is causing us to adapt. I think I've answered your question.
All right, yes, thank you very much. And now we can now see that you have linked it with the issue of trust. When women will now ask their husband, okay, let me see where you are, because they want to build that trust. So that is evidence-based. Thank you very much. All right, so let's go online. We want Mr. Ebuka Ogbodo to join this conversation by telling us, how we can leverage on the adoption of emerging technologies and at the same time reap the benefits. Mr. Ebuka, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I would say, right, one of the ways to leverage it is to actually understand the technology, right? And that requires you to be at the forefront of emerging technologies. And how do you do that? That's by following the trends, for instance. That's a great way. Recently, as I mentioned earlier, we're moving towards devices that are fully immersive. Just like my panelist, my colleague mentioned, initially we started with feature phones that could just make calls, the typical Nokia Touch, that's still 10, if you all remember that. And then we keep on progressing to actually screen-enabled devices that have videos on them. But then the next phase would then require you to say, for instance, put on the Oculus devices, and then you're fully immersed. And then you don't need to fly to South Africa for that particular conference that requires you to practicalize the engineering model, because you can stay right there in your own, put on your headset, and go right there in the room with your colleagues in South Africa, and you guys are working on the models together and developing it together. Again, it sounds like something out of science fiction, but that's how it was founded. 20 years ago, take an iPhone back 20 years into the past, or 50 years into the past, and then they think that you're doing some kind of magic, right? So ultimately, that is the direction that the technology are taking. And I would say the best way to read this is to be aware of what's happening, following the trends, and try and just familiarize yourself with these things. Check it out, try it out, because as you keep on trying it, you find out you're up to date and you're able to maximize the benefit that are actually accruing, because these things have a compounding effect with time. And then, that's my contribution to the conversation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ebuka Obodo.
Sorry, can I add to what he just said
All right.
briefly?
Yes,
I
please.
actually heard of a wedding that took place in the metaverse,
Okay.
where because of COVID, people couldn't leave and travel. So they sent helmets to all the people that they were inviting to the wedding.
Okay.
And once you wore the helmet and plugged into the internet,
Yes.
you virtually entered the
wedding
wedding
hall.
venue hall. So you saw the bride and the groom get married. Everything took place exactly. You couldn't eat, obviously, but they would say that there was no food at that wedding. It wasn't that interesting. But
All right.
thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that experience. Immersive technology is actually doing a lot now. And as a matter of fact, in the educational sector, I think that is one technology that people are actually leveraging on now. I mean, your professor doesn't have to come to Nigeria before he lectures you, before he gives you pragmatic example. He will be in United States and he will tell you what to do. And in fact, you'll be seeing him and you'll be experiencing the same thing with him. So that is all about, Absolutely. Exactly. Thank you very much for that illustration. All right, we are time constrained, and I want us to try as much as possible to finish this interesting conversation. So we go to the next question. This time around, I want to start with Mr. Ebuka Obodo. So how do we ensure that Nigeria is not left out of the global digital progression through capacity building, digital literacy, critical internet infrastructure, digital policies, and regulation? From your own experience, based on your own industry, can you, share your thought? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, engineer. Yes, I think I love this question. Because of two things. The first is that the part of the question actually already answers the question itself, and then of course opens room for further deliberation. And the first is that how do you ensure that Nigeria is not left out of the global digital progression? How do we do that? By ensuring that we're actually investing in digital literacy, we're investing in critical internet infrastructure, which is the underlying technology that is required for us to even have access to the internet in the first instance, right? And then we are building and upskilling our young people and our youths and even our young adults as well, which goes to capacity building. And then we are also developing digital policies and regulations that are forward-looking, right? Not regressive, but forward-looking, taking into consideration the totality of the factors and what is in the best interest of the citizens, the country, and our future as well. And then sometimes you would realize that some of these policies and even some of these policies may be counterintuitive, right? You would say, oh, why shouldn't I, for instance, pass a legislation to increase taxes on OTT or taxes on, say, data or internet? Government is broke. Government needs more money. Government has to find ways to raise revenue. But then you have to look at the knock-on effect of this on the economy, the knock-on effect on this on the larger economic system, and how this affects the ultimate end users, and how this has a knock-on effect on everything that happens within the economy system. And then looking at case models of other countries that have done similar things and how we turn that for them, right? So this is evidence-based policy creation. And then in also doing this, right, I would say we don't operate in silos, right? So that's why forums such as the Nigerian Governance Forum is so crucial and essential to the acceleration of development of Nigeria's technological progress, because it provides a convening of key stakeholders to come together and deliberate on some of these policies and some of these issues that would advance our country and advance our economy, giving, of course, particular reference to what has been successful in the past, what has other models used that have proven to be more accurate, and of course, localizing it to the particular nuances of our country, not just copying and pasting things elsewhere. So these are things that are very important. I would say working with stakeholders across all sectors, from the industry to government to non-governmental activities as well, because their impact and their perspective and insight is actually very, very crucial as well, because also it presents a third force and are able to also help us ensure that whatever we're doing ultimately is balanced, is fair, and given everything is more likely to progress us than to take us back. So I feel if you can invest on each of these critical limbs that has been explained in the questions, which includes capacity building, digital literacy, critical internet infrastructure, and of course, the regulatory and policy environment that enables and supports innovation, we will be at a significant position to maximize the benefit of the global digital progression.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate that contribution. I will still come back to you on that question. There is something I want to ask you, but before that, let me quickly go to Madam Alade. I know that she deals with women issues a lot. So I would like you to, still talking about the same, question. I would like you to tell us what you are doing about digital literacy when it comes to women issue. Yes, please.
Okay, so he has explained the critical areas that we should be looking at: implementation of policies, effective implementation of policies, digital literacy, digital skills, resources, infrastructures. These are important elements that are necessary for the sustainability of the digital transformation. So, one thing that I want us to all consider is, yes, are we making progress? We are making progress. Are we getting moving from one level to the other in the global competitive index? Yes, we are. At least we are trying. But then there is a problem, and that is when you look at the internal disaggregated data, there is another digital divide that is within the country. So it's now between those who are making progress and those who are almost completely left out. Now, for our project, WomenPride.Africa, we reached out to over 10,000 women and girls. Then we reached out to about 1,000 rural women in the 6 geopolitical zones. And when we reached out to the girls in the north, Kano precisely, they were out of school girls. And we realized that almost all of them have phones. Some of them have feature phones. Some of them have smartphones. And we were curious because these girls are not in school. Some of them dropped out of school from as early as primary 3. So how are you using this phone? What features can you use? So we realized that these people, they are very, very vulnerable when it comes to the digital transformation and emerging technologies. I tell you, some of those girls, if they have a bank account, they can easily fall prey to all these cyber criminals. It's very easy. If you call her and say, hey, Aisha, can you give me your ATM number? Such a young girl can easily give you the number because she's not well informed. And that's where it becomes very, very critical to drive digital literacy programs to the remote areas, to drive these programs to the grassroots. We did a survey and we realized that in some states in Nigeria, the ratio of the usage of men to women in using emerging technologies is as low as 10 to 1. That's for every 9 to 1. For every 10 people, 9 are men and 1 is a woman who is using emerging technologies. So that tells you that some people are actually really left out. And what that means is when it comes to innovation, there will not be a balance. We all know that men and women, the population, even globally, is almost 50-50. And also the consumers are almost 50-50. So when the people who are making these technologies or who are players in these technologies is not balanced, at least to some extent, then the innovation is not optimal. So we see now that the only way that we can really make sustainable or good success in this journey is to ensure that the digital literacy project, the digital skills project reaches, everyone equally. And that's where equality comes in. So you see some people, and mind you, over 80% of women and girls reside in rural areas and underserved communities. Over 80% in Nigeria, if not Africa as a whole. So what that means is, whatever the government is doing, whatever stakeholders are doing, they must make deliberate efforts to include these people. That's what, well, you know, what the topic about inclusion, that's what inclusion is talking about. Include these people. And it may take more resources, but you have to. Otherwise, we cannot make success. And then when we relate with these people, even though they are not educated, we realize that they are very intelligent. If these people have access to some skills, they will bring innovation that can transform Nigeria. So it is important that we reach out to this way. That's the only way. Digital literacy, digital skills. The government is trying with infrastructures. We heard that over 5,000 telecom-related infrastructures were destroyed within how many years? So, and those are issues that are taking us back, you know, and those are issues that are hampering our progress. So we also need to look at that to see how these infrastructures can be secured, especially in those remote areas. Those are the people that really need this education and this empowerment to be able to be players in this emerging technology and digital transformation journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know you are passionate with the issue of women. Please, let's give her a round of applause. I appreciate your contribution. Now, Mr. Amana, I know that you are playing so much in the Nigerian Internet Group as the the coordinator, or the chairman. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I'm trying to remember the exact position.
The president.
The president, yes. So that means that you must have been contributing to some of the policies that are being made, especially during the stakeholders forum and so on and so forth. So please, I want you to come from that perspective. Still on the same question. So let's look at the issue of digital policies, regulation, and probably maybe digital internet infrastructure, which Madam Alade just mentioned a bit of. So how do you ensure that Nigeria is not left out even in this digital progression? Thank you very much.
Well, with the digital progression in Nigeria, how do we make sure that Nigeria is not left out compared to the rest of the world? Well, I'm actually very proud to be a Nigerian. Nigerians are very innovative. Nigerians are very adaptive. And interestingly, many of the West have come and adapted some of our own ways of doing things with technology. For example, the way we do our banking. Our banking in Nigeria is so much more advanced than in America and even in the UK because of this trust issue. Because trying to get people to trust using an ATM. How many of you will withdraw 5,000 and still count it? It's only in Nigeria that happens. You know, you go abroad, you put your card in, you expect to get £100, you get £100. In Nigeria, you put your card in, you expect to get 10,000 naira, you're still looking, am I sure this thing knows how to count? So there's still a trust issue that has to be overcome. So the banks know this. The banks know that if they give you a USSD code to do your banking, when they first started, it was so easy to steal a phone and put in *737, that's GTB, and then if there was no code, it would give you your balance. They've stolen your phone, you didn't put a PIN on your SIM card, they can get your balance, and they say, hey, okay, I want to transfer to cashless withdrawal. In Nigeria, we were pioneering cardless withdrawal before the Americans. The Americans were not doing it. But we knew that people were not going to trust debit cards because they believe that when Friday comes, go to the bank, take what you're going to use for the weekend, because if you have a card, you will have unlimited access to alcohol and the money to be fledgling and everything. We didn't have the discipline, you know what I mean? But we have built that trust over time. Our mobile apps for banking, it's because we didn't even have the Nigerian Data Protection Act when we started doing our mobile banking, that InterSwitch took advantage of the fact that if you put somebody's account number and the bank he banks with, it will tell you his name so that you know the right account you're sending the money to. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the world because of data protection. They don't want you to know that if this person's name is the name on the account, because it's a breach of privacy. You understand what I mean? But it had to be done in Nigeria. Otherwise, people who didn't know that if they were sending the money to the right account, that one digit could be someone else's someone else's account. You know what I mean? So I don't think we're being left behind in that sense. But if you look at Millennial Development Goals and how they align with technology, our SDGs. The Sustainable Development Goals, right? And how they align with technology. That is how we find out whether or not we are falling behind or we are actually moving ahead. Number one on that SDG list is no poverty. Poverty changes your mindset. When you have to think about when it is raining and it is pouring cats and dogs, and you're thinking of how you're going to come out of your house and enter that gutter water on your road and swim to the main road before you now start taking transport and spend 3 hours before you get to your place of employment, and then you stress through the whole day, and then by the time you finish your work at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you enter that bus and start going back another 3 hours, and then when you get to the boundary of your road and the river that leads to your house, by the time you enter your house, 11, 12 o'clock, are you going to start cooking to eat something? It's stress. The poverty mindset doesn't allow that person to even start thinking about smartphones, data, technology. He just wants to rest and prepare for the next day. And then on the weekend, probably prepare some food for himself to take as lunch. I'm speaking experience of many of us, either watching here or even in this hall. Zero hunger, good health and well-being. These are the sustainable development goals that with technology we can actually get there. No poverty does not mean no poor people. No poverty means access to the equal access to what is your right, like education, free education. You understand what I mean, right? Zero hunger. People who are poor, if you go to their house, they will still have food to give you. Those are not poor people. You understand what I mean? And there are many people like that. They live in poor places, but you go as a guest, when you arrive there, they will find food to give you. It's not because they don't have money to feed you, but they live in a poor environment. Zero hunger can actually be managed by our government if they focus on these things. Good health and well-being. I think one of the reasons why COVID did not hook us like the rest of the world is because most of the time, with no power, there's feedback, I think. With no power, most of us eat fresh food. Because if you put food in the fridge and there's no light, it's not going to last very long. So most times we're eating freshly cooked food. And owning a microwave is a luxury. So most people don't actually have a microwave. So our food tends to be a lot fresher and more healthy than in the West where everything is preserved, right? So good health and well-being is very possible. Quality education. We have not changed our curriculum in Nigeria for ages. Gender equality. Well, our politics is showing that there's a bit more of gender equality coming up, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, and the list goes on, 17 goals. If we look at these goals, we can now measure how well we as a people are compared to the rest of the world, and we will know where we are as a country and if we are left out or not. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, as a matter of fact, I said we are going to skip that, so to say. But before we go to the last part, because our time is fast spent, and I have been, signaled that we should be wrapping up now. I want to find out if we have any contributors online. If anybody wants to contribute, if anybody wants to say one thing or the other, perhaps maybe you have a question for our panelists, this is the time to do that. So, Rapporteur, please, is there any question online? All right, for now, there is no question, but if anybody wants to contribute online, please, you can raise up your hand while we're still trying to wrap up this interesting session. So, we'll be going to the last question, and this time around, I'm going to be starting with Mr. Amana. And the question is this: how does 5G, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and IoT, that is Internet of Things, impact e-government services? So we're still talking about the same thing, but this time around, I want to see how, all these emerging technologies, how they impact, government services, and which of these new technologies should Nigeria focus on, maybe in the short term, medium term, or even in the long term. Or if you believe everything should be the focus, just let us know. So I'll start with you, then I'll go to Mr. Ogbodo, Mr. Ebuka. Please get ready. You can hold your thought. After Mr. Amana, I'll come to you to share your thought. Then I'm going to finalize this session by calling Madam Martha. So over to you.
So how does 5G or artificial intelligence crypto impact e-government? It's a very good question. First of all, are we adapting e-government properly in Nigeria? Is your local government online? Can you pay your taxes? Do you know who your local government chairman is? These are questions that can be easily answered on a smartphone. You go and Google who is the local government chairman of Ekpe, and let's see if there's an Ekpe local government website that comes up. If there isn't, why not? It's done abroad, and it's very easy to do. We have the technology, we have the know-how, we have the people who are ready to do the work. There are millions of students that are out of school because of the strike, who know how to build websites, who know how to do these things. Why don't we have them do that for all these local government communities? E-government at the moment is a buzzword, in my own opinion. We are not effectively utilizing technologies to digitally transform and imbue trust in our government. If our government decides to do this, I think trust will grow in leaps and bounds. You know why? Because when a project is executed in a local government area, it should be published on the website. Who were the contractors that were eliminated, and why were they eliminated? So how did that guy win the contract? What was the cost of the contract? When is it supposed to finish? E-government is not being utilized properly yet. What should we focus on to make it work? I think crypto would be a good thing to focus on. Why? Because we use blockchain to keep track of our data, our knowledge, keep it encrypted, and to make sure that once data has been put into the system, nobody can change it without everybody understanding that that thing was not what it was before. If we focus on crypto, we can use blockchain to make sure our e-government is secure, is correct, accurate, and will build trust for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our time is fast spent. I can see that they want us to wrap it up. But before we do that, Mr. Otoro Ibukun, please, can you quickly make your comment or ask your question, please? Quickly, in 30 seconds, so that our panelists can just, share their thoughts on your question. You have the floor, please. Mr. Otoro Ibukun. Okay, all right, fine. Thank you very much. So I would want to say this. On the floor here, do we have anybody that wants to say one or two things? Okay, in 30 30 seconds. In 30 seconds, please. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Marta, and thank you, Mr. Amana, if I'm correct. The conversation has been insightful. My name is Mariam Sulaiman for the record, but I think I have more like a question and more like a suggestion. We're talking about 5G, and recently I saw in the news that MTN has rolled out their 5G network. I think that was last month or so. But I feel, when we talk about 5G, are we really ready for it in Nigeria? Will this 5G widen, or will it lessen the internet connectivity gap we have already? Because when we talk about 5G, if you are still in a place where there is no network, even the 4G SIM we are using, most times you still have issues with actually using the internet because it is not strong enough in some areas. If you are in areas where the network is strong, definitely you can actually use whatever service you want to use online. And that's actually a meaningful connection, meaningful internet connections. But when it comes to areas that we have not even been able to use 4G, and you are telling us to start using 5G, is it really the right way to go in?
Okay, thank you very much. I think we understand that question very well. So, Mr. Ebuka, I think I want you to answer this question because I know you deal with Meta. Mr. Ebuka, online.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I know you can.
So, quick one. So, what I would say is essentially that while it is extremely important that we ensure that internet access is equally distributed across the country in an inclusive and fair and equitable manner, I would also say that that doesn't also prevent us from pursuing that twin goal of ensuring that while we are ramping up our technology to ensure that we have more coverage everywhere, we are also, where there are existing coverages, giving them the tools and resources that they need to play and compete globally in a manner that enables us to bring our best foot forward in the global discourse and conversation around accelerating internet connectivity across Africa. So in essence, what that basically means is this. Yes, it is important to ensure that where we do not have up to 3G, we build up and continue to invest in infrastructure development to ensure that that gets done. But then where we already have 3G, 4G working perfectly, we should also don't sleep on the opportunity to advance that forward to the next level, to ensure that those people here are not denied the opportunity to maximize the benefits of the internet, while also contributing overall to the economic growth of the country. That's just my take. Thanks.
All right, just a word.
So in one word, it's a spectrum. In one word, it's a spectrum. So we cannot deny those who are already ahead from going further. So while those who don't have are coming up, those who are ahead should be allowed to go further. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think it's been a wonderful session. My name remains Engineer Kunle Olorundare, your host and the anchor for this session. So thank you very much, and I believe so much that we have learned a lot from this session, from our panelists, and even from the audience who has participated in one way or the other. And without missing word, I believe we have really enjoyed ourselves. So please, can we give ourselves a round of applause as we round up this program? Thank you very much. See you in the main hall. Please, let's go to the main hall now. Thank you. Bye for now.